This is One Sentence News, a daily podcast featuring 3 news stories with a sentence-long summary and 1 sentence of context apiece. I'm Colin Wright. This is a sponsored message. I've been using Anchor as my podcast host for a while now, and it's been a pleasure to use. Anchor offers benefits that most other hosts do not. It's free to use, but it also has a collection of tools that allow you to create a podcast completely within the Anchor website or smartphone app. They distribute your show to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other distribution channels without any additional effort on your part, and you can make money from your podcast without any minimum audience size. So you can use it as a more traditional podcast host like I do, but it's also got everything you need to start a podcast from scratch. If you're keen to give it a shot, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's Thursday, June 16th, 2022. Let's talk about the news. From Bloomberg, global gas woes worsen on extended U.S. LNG plant outage. Freeport LNG announced that its Texas liquefied gas facility would be shut down for about 3 weeks following a fire last week. The company is now saying the facility will be shut down for about 3 months instead. This is a big deal because European countries typically stock up on gas around this time for use during the winter, when folks tend to use more gas for heating purposes. U.S. gas producers have been filling the gap left by Russian companies throughout Europe these past few months, and if this facility remains down the full 3 months, European markets will have about 4 million tons of gas less than planned, which could further goose energy prices and perhaps even weaken unity amongst European governments in their commitment to Russian sanctions and their efforts to steer the bloc toward renewable energy sources. From the Wall Street Journal, Apple and Major League Soccer strike 10-year streaming deal for all MLS games. Tech giant Apple has signed a deal with Major League Soccer to broadcast soccer games, that's football for non-American listeners, on the company's Apple TV app for the next decade, some of which will be available for free and some of which will be limited to paid Apple TV Plus subscribers. The full terms of the deal haven't been released, but analysts say the agreement is worth at least $250 million a year, which makes this a $2.5 billion contract minimum. This is considered to be pretty big news because most major sports leagues still show the majority of their games on broadcast and cable television, and this moves all MLS games to a single streaming service, one that has global streaming rights as part of its contract, which is also unusual. And from the Associated Press, Yellowstone flooding forces 10,000 to leave National Park. More than 10,000 visitors were ordered to leave Yellowstone National Park earlier this week as a massive flood tore through the northern portion of the park, knocking out roads and bridges and at least 1 employee bunkhouse. No injuries or casualties have been reported. Following the flood, the park may remain closed as long as a week, which is very unusual for Yellowstone, and the northern entrances might remain closed all season. Additional flooding is possible this upcoming weekend, too, which is bad news for the many people who planned to visit in the near future during the park's most heavily trafficked period of the year. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and/or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com, and you can support this and other related projects like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts at understandery.com.